Hi. Is it going? Okay, yeah. Hi. So I just got out of my first Vipassana experience this morning. Um, Noble Silence broke yesterday, so I've been speaking for about a day now. So this isn't like extremely fresh, but still very fresh. I just left the center this morning, integrating back into civilization today has been very nice. But also now that I'm gone, I'm like, oh, I miss it already, even though I was so ready to leave. No, it was wow. So I'm making a video diary to just kind of share about what went down there, what it was like. I'm gonna write a blog too, but I figured with video I could go more in depth on some of the different things. So this is for my family and friends who are all dying to know what this is like, as well as anyone who's curious about Vipassana or curious about the Dhamma Bodhi Center. Yeah, so I'm going to start by talking about what Vipassana is, and then go into the center, and then kind of just about like my personal experience. So Vipassana is 10 days of silence, 10 days of meditation. Um, you're not allowed to perform any rituals or rites or worshiping during the time. You have to wear very modest clothing, shoulders and knees covered at all times, loose clothing, no tight clothing. The men and women are completely separated, but still very, very modest clothing. During the 10 days, you can't do anything but sit with yourself. That's what noble silence stands for, is doing nothing but sitting with your own mind. So you can't read, you can't write, no music, no technology, no eye contact, no human touch. You basically strip away everything that makes you human in order to go deeper and deeper and deeper into the layers of your own mind, which is really kind of a fascinating thing. The no yoga part was pretty hard. I'll get to that later. On top of that, all the luxuries are stripped away too. So this is not a vacation in any way, shape, or form. It really is constant work, constant unveiling of different things inside of you, and revealing different attachments that we have to so many of the different things in our life that we don't realize. The cool thing about Vipassana is that it's completely free. It runs completely on donation, and there's centers all over the world now, like hundreds, I think. So that speaks to how powerful this technique is. But it's completely free, and part of that is to be able to strip away your ego, so that without paying for anything, you can't have the mine attachment to anything. This is my room, this is my food. There's absolutely no attachment to anything, and it kind of strips away that ego and just lets you exist in something that other people have donated on their goodwill so you could experience, which really does make it special. So let's see. There's 5 main precepts that you have to agree to before going into Vipassana. That for 10 days you will not steal anything, kill anybody, lie, no sexual activity, and the last one is no intoxicants of any kind. This technique is used, like I said, all over the world. So this is being used in everywhere from schools to prisons to everything. So this is just a moral conduct, the 5 things that you have to promise you will not do, as well as stay silent, no human touch, no human eye contact throughout the entire length of the 10 days. You're also not allowed to leave. I mean, I think if you really need to, you can, but you sign a thing that says, I will not leave. So, yeah, and the whole thing is kind of set up to feel like prison. It literally felt like I was in prison for 10 days, but that's because your mind is a prison. And I'll go into that later, but it's putting you into the prison of your mind, and so the outside feels like that as well. And for 10 days, you're actually living exactly how a renunciated monk or nun lives day to day, and so it gives you the opportunity to feel, to go to those levels that, to some extent, that they reach in order to Can you guys hear that? There's like some parade going on outside, drumming and singing. I don't know, India. I'm in Gaya, India, by the way, right now. In my guest house room, I have my man Shiva up here looking over me. But anyways, um, okay, so the whole process of Vipassana is to lead you to experiencing something called Dhamma, which is the universal law of nature. And it's supposed to bring you, so hard to focus, it's supposed to bring you into the existence of the law of nature, and then experience how living in accordance with the law of nature brings you benefits, and also living not in accordance with the law of nature brings you not such sweet things in life. And so the 3 ways to reach Dhamma, you get to experience and practice the entire 10 days of your Vipassana. So the first one is Shirda. I think I'm saying that right. Shirda. And that's morality. So that comes with the 5 precepts. Complete morality to yourself, to others, doing good, treating everything and everyone exactly how you'd want to be treated, not killing an ant, not killing a mosquito. If you mess something up, fix it, that kind of a thing. The second one is samadhi, which is learning how to gain control over your mind, because I don't think we realize how much we are a slave to our minds completely. And we don't even know that anymore at this time in the world. And so Vipassana allows you the chance to start to gain that control back over your mind. And then the last part of it is panya, which is starting to remove the impurities of your mind. And the 3 of those combined are the exact path leading to Dhamma, being able to experience and live in accordance to the law of nature. So that's what that was about. The really cool thing about Vipassana is that it is what Buddha taught, which I wasn't even completely aware of. I'm in Gaya, India, because this is the place. There's a tree here called the Bodhi tree, which is where 25 centuries ago the Buddha came and he sat under this tree and he became enlightened. And so this is a very, very, very special sacred land, especially to the Buddhist religion. But what he learned at this tree is actually this Vipassana technique of how to eradicate human suffering completely. And I didn't even realize that it was his teaching. I came here because he was an enlightened being, an awakened being, and I know that Vipassana can lead to that. And so I wanted to come to the source where it happened and experience it on this special land, but it's his teachings. So a little bit about Buddha. I'm just going to tell you real quick. Buddha, I think a lot of people don't realize he's not some godlike figure that a lot of other religions have. He was just a man. He was actually a prince named Siddhartha. Oh God, I'm going to forget it right now. Siddhartha Gautama. Siddhartha Gautama. That's what it is. He was a prince, and he had all the luxuries one could ever want, and he was not happy. He started meditating on his own, I think, from a very young age, at like 5 or 6, and By the time he was a young adult, he decided luxuries aren't doing it. I'm seeking happiness. This isn't happiness, and I'm gonna leave this to go find it. And so he went and studied yoga and meditation for like 6 or 7 years, I think, and then finally came to this town, Gaya, and sat under this tree and was like, I'm not leaving this tree until I figure out what enlightenment is all about. And I think he sat under the tree for like 6 days and 6 nights, and finally enlightenment came to him, and he understood exactly how to achieve real happiness, which is what Vipassana is. So another cool thing that I learned about enlightenment, not learned, but like realized about enlightenment is that in my mind, and I think a lot of people's minds, enlightenment is this magical experience that happens to you, and it can happen in a moment after years of practicing, or it can happen in a moment just because. But it's essentially being able to connect to everything around you and receive all of the answers to all of the questions. But someone explained it really cool right before I went into Vipassana, which helped make things a lot clearer for me, is that it's not this magical experience. What it is a process of being able to clear your mind out so much that you can see clearly things as they really are. And that's exactly what Vipassana means, to see things as they really are. So that was Buddha. So he became enlightened at 35, and then he spent the next 45 years of his life teaching everyone Vipassana, as many people as he could, and they just started flocking. And Buddhism has turned into a religion, but Buddha didn't stand from a religious standpoint. He was just a man teaching a very simple thing that really has no religious stigmas attached to it at all. It's fit for every human being, and it's only about those three things: morality, control of the mind, and removing the impurities of the mind. Which is why at the core of Buddhism, this Vipassana is really a special thing and a really cool thing for every human to come into contact with. So so that was 2,500 years ago. Yes. So now there was a man who, I don't remember when he was born or when it happened for him, but the main man that leads all of these Vipassanas now, his name is S.N. Goenka. And he's an Indian man that was born in Burma, now called Myanmar. And he grew up, he was a rich man, I think a businessman for most of his life, and he kept getting these migraines. And he traveled with his money all around the world trying to find doctors that could fix the migraines, and he was on all these drugs and antibiotics. Nothing was fixing the migraines. And then one doctor, an Eastern doctor, was like, you need to go try this Vipassana. So he went and tried the Vipassana, and he had been studying many religions and many different things, and they all talk about this thing called enlightenment, but there's not really a path to get there with any of them. Or if there is a path, it still has a lot of questioning. And he realized Vipassana is this answer to everything, to every path, this exact technique. And he ended up being born in Burma, which is, after the Buddha died, one of the only countries, I think was the only country, to not only preserve Vipassana, but to preserve it in the exact way that the Buddha taught it. And so Goenka got to learn from his teacher this exact way. And it was profited that 25 centuries later, which is now, there would be someone who would basically spread Vipassana throughout the world. And it was clear quickly after Goenka started practicing and seeking change in Vipassana that not only were his migraines going to be gone, but he was going to be an amazing teacher, and he in fact did become the teacher that would bring the world Vipassana. And he has since passed away, but luckily technology was good enough in the time before he passed away that he was able to, recordings were able to be done at different Vipassana seminars throughout the world in many different languages. And so you're still completely being taught by Goenka no matter where in the world you are. And it's essentially 10 days of one huge guided meditation to Goenka's voice. And he's there chanting to you daily, speaking to you daily. I'm talking like once an hour. There's recordings, and the teachers know exactly what time to make the recordings play. And his voice just booms in the room, and you can feel it in your body. And he's there with you, and it's really beautiful. And then every night you watch an hour-and-a-half lecture that he gives based on what happened during that day in your body, what to expect. He answers all the questions that come up, and how he kind of guides you on this path to really reach your full potential and keep you up to date on what it all means, what's all happening, why it's happening, everything like that. And Goenka is just incredible. He's just incredible. He's so humble. He's so wise. He's so educated. He's so giving and compassionate. And he just has the cutest little face. And he's literally the father that this whole world needs right now. He's just a good man that's stern, but he makes you laugh exactly when you need to laugh. He makes you cry when you need to cry. He makes you realize things. He provides examples that make the entire thing make sense. And I was just drooling on every word of his lectures, because after every single one, you're like, so that was super cool. But anyways, yeah, so Goenka is the teacher now. So the technique of Vipassana is basically, okay, so we can all agree that anger comes from different reasons. There's American anger, Australian anger, England anger, male anger, female anger, child anger, adult anger. Our anger that we have comes from different sources. But underneath that all, the misery that we feel inside because of that anger is universal. We all feel the same things in our body, no matter what the anger comes from. I just lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Okay. Misery is universal, so the remedy has to be universal. That's what Vipassana is. It doesn't go against different religions, but he makes it clear that religions can't heal people to the core because they're designed for specific groups of people. Vipassana is a technique that heals to the core. It's fit for every single person. And what it's based off of is basically saying that from the time we're born, we start producing these things called sankharas, which are different reactions that we have based on different things that happen to us. So even from a baby, we're starting to produce sankharas, and they are born in our bodies based on cravings and hatred through our five senses. So we see things that we like, we start to crave that thing. We see things that we don't like, we start to hate that thing. We hear things that we like, we crave that thing. We hear things that we don't like, we push that thing away. Through all of our senses, we start to build up this image and these things that we crave and that we love, and these things that we don't like and we try and push away. And when that happens, we plant these sankharas deep down in our subconscious. And so when they happen over and over and over and over again, they get deeper and deeper and deeper. And these seeds start sprouting out huge trees with huge branches and leaves and fruits. And our subconscious essentially gets taken over and becomes powerless to these programmed ways that we've done to ourselves that we don't even realize. So there's basically 3 types of sankharas, and the first type is like a line on water. It's gone instantly, and you're just kind of like, oh, that happened, I don't care. The second type is like a line drawn in the sand, and it might last for like a day, but then a wave comes and it goes, and essentially it goes. And the third type is the most dangerous type, and it's like a chisel in a rock, and it goes and it's permanent, pretty permanent. And that comes from good things and bad things and our attachment to them. And so when we come to realize these things at later in life, maybe we react a lot with anger, or we react a lot with emotion or with comedy, or we start to get these things that we really hate and we really love, and just a slight thing puts us on edge. It's because of these deep-rooted sankharas inside of us. And so as we come to be conscious of this later in life, and we say, I don't want to be an angry person anymore, we make all these big changes, and we start to turn our life around, and we cut these trees down that we've grown inside of us. And sometimes we cut all the way down to the root, down to the bottom of the trunk. But what we don't realize is that the root is still there. And so we make all these changes, but that root is likely to sprout again at some point. And then we get all down on ourselves and we wonder why nothing ever changes. And we come to find out that through Vipassana, that it's because these deep roots are still there. And so Vipassana is the exact way of how to pull out these roots and plant fresh seeds that will give us the trees that we need in our life to be the people that we want to be, to live in accordance with the law of nature. So that's the really cool technique of Vipassana. Okay, so the Vipassana schedule on a daily basis is quite intense. Like I said, it's hard work. This is no vacation. It is hard work. 4 a.m., the bells go off. The bell is like a singing bowl, so it's kind of peaceful, but then the teachers walk around with bells outside the windows, and 4 a.m., you're like, okay, here we go. And 4:30 a.m., the first meditation starts. So you have to go to the hall where everyone's meditating. And 4:30 to 6:30 a.m. meditation. And then you have 6:30 to 8 is breakfast and then a break, which I would usually go back to bed for a little bit. And then 8 to 11 is another meditation. And within that, the teacher will sometimes call up different groups and just kind of explain more thoroughly what you're experiencing, making sure you're doing okay, things like that. 11 to 1 is lunch and another break. 1 to 5 is meditation. That's a hard stretch. It's a 4-hour stretch of meditating. You get to, every time you have more than an hour or two of meditation, there's like a 5-minute break where you can get up and walk around for 5 minutes and come back, but you got to be in the room. So that 1 to 5, it definitely got easier, but that was the hardest part of the day. And then 5 to 6, you had a snack. You don't eat dinner. You can just have like a really light snack. You're supposed to leave your stomach always a little bit empty so that the energy can start building in you more. 6 to 7, another meditation. And then 7 to 8:30 was the teacher discourses. Like I said, he had the 1.5-hour long lectures every night. And then 8:30 to 9 was meditation, and then you go to bed. And starting on the 4th day, the 8 to 9 a.m., the 2:30 to 3:30 p.m., and the 6 to 7 p.m., those 3 hours, you weren't allowed to move. Or you were supposed to do everything inside of you to not move. So by the 4th day, you're getting comfortable with sitting, and you've adjusted your pillows how you need to, but 3 hours a day, no moving. Which is cool and hard. Some days very hard. So that's the basic schedule. That's the same no matter what center you go to for Vipassana. So specifically now, I was at the Dhamma Bodhi Center in Gaya, India, like I said. So I'm just going to talk a little about that in case anyone ever watches specifically for this center. So the room, so currently the center holds 80 people, 40 men, 40 women. Like I said, they're completely separated the whole time. But they're currently remodeling it to fit 500 students, so that's going to be really exciting. But yeah, basically it's prison. Basically feels like a prison. Um, I'll put pictures of it on my blog, but it's good. It's good. It strips away all attachments. So the room itself, literally just tiny little room. It was like 100 degrees here these last couple weeks too. No AC. Just luckily there's a fan at the top, but it just had like a tiny mattress that was like 1.5 feet off the ground, like only a little bit wider than my body. No blankets or anything. You have to bring your own sheet. I brought my little sleeping cocoon from REI, which was amazing. And I had a mosquito net, which was good, but there was still constantly ants crawling all over me. I still woke up with tons of mosquito bites. There were spiders all over my room. Like, bugs are everywhere, but that's good for you once in a while. We all need to live like that once in a while. And the bathroom was, I had my own bathroom, which was nice, but it was a sink, a toilet. The shower was just a spout that came out of the wall about 3 feet up from the wall, so you'd have to like squat under it to like wash your hair. And then no toilet paper was provided, so that was a fun plot twist. Not even bum guns like they have in Asia. You had to learn with a bucket and water and showers, but again, it's good. We should learn to appreciate the simple things in life like toilet paper, right? Yeah. So it was fine. We learned with it. I don't know. So that was the rooms. And they're all kind of next to each other. The walls are paper thin, but everyone's silent, so it's fine. And then the dining hall. So everyone would eat those 3 times a day. In the dining hall, there was a group of about 30 Vietnamese nuns there at the same time of us, so they would sit around the outside facing the walls because they're like in their deep work. So they'd all sit on the outside facing the walls, and then there was about 6 rows of long tables, and you all face the same way, and you all sit in one spot, and you're assigned a seat, and you sit there for every meal, and you have your own plate and your own silverware and cup for every meal, and you have to wash your own plates and bring it back after every meal. And so you just sit there, and oh my God, I don't know why, but this room was so hot. It had like, I think, a metal roof, that's why. It was so hot, and they just had fans in there, and it was all hot food. So eating was like really hard. It was just super hot. The food was all vegetarian, super bland. Again, trying to strip away the attachment to food. They did serve masala chai tea though. That was very sweet, and honestly, that's what got me through the first 3 days of Vipassana was this friggin' masala chai tea. I'd be like, yes, something sweet. So that's what the dining was like. But I mean, it was like, curries and rice, and every night for snack it was these like rice puffs and fruit and breakfast. Breakfasts were weird. I don't know, but non-attachment. It was fine. I got fed, and it was all donation, so it was fine. And then the meditation hall that you sit in, I'm sure this will be changing in the next couple years once the remodel is done. But the meditation hall is just this big room, again fans, but they had a sprinkler on top and then these huge weaved things outside the windows that would be wet, so it actually stayed quite cool inside the room. You all have your own cushion. It's about 2 feet by 2 feet, a square, and they're about, I don't know, a foot away from each other, forwards and backwards, and you're all sitting facing the same way, and the teacher sits at the front, and everything's white, and she's this beautiful, our teacher was this 75-year-old Indian woman with like white hair to her chin, which is like pretty rare to see. She was just like a goddess, and she was so nurturing and motherly, but like super strict, which was awesome. So that was our teacher. And she's just there to play the videos at the right times, and then also 1 hour a day there is, if you need to ask a question or you have to figure out something, you can go and talk to her 1 hour a day. I never ended up doing that, but I think most everyone did. So the other interesting thing about Vipassana is that you have this 2 by 2 foot square cushion that you're sitting on. And I was like, oh, there's so many different levels of meditating. I'll be able to sit against a wall or lay down if I need to. No, just sit up straight every single hour of meditation every single day. And there's different little pillows and cushions that you can use to kind of figure out how you like sitting. And I think finally by day 7, I figured out how to sit perfectly on all. I had 7 little pillows in all different parts of my body. But I figured it out and it was fine. But that 4:30 to 6:30 a.m. sitting was painful. Everyone's just trying so hard to not fall asleep. You could child's pose, so I'd find a way to lay down in some crumpled little child's pose. You could lie forward if you could figure out how, but no lying backwards or anything. No stretching or anything like that. So that was the haul. Again, I'll post pictures of these on the blog that I post. But yeah, it was all fine enough. Clean, well, besides all the bugs. But yeah, it was the Dhamma Bodhi. I mean, the special thing about this place is that this is the land where this is created. This is super sacred energy that's held here. And so getting to come here for a Vipassana was really a huge gift. Really huge gift. It's taken very, very, very seriously here. All the teachers and the servers that come are very serious, very dedicated, and it's all designed to give you an absolutely comfortable, well, not luxurious, but safe and quiet space to meditate and to really dive deep into the different layers of Vipassana. Okay, so I've been talking a lot, but I guess you can just skip forward if you don't want to listen to me. I thought I'd go more in depth about everything than not. And then when I get questions, I can just be like, oh, go watch the video. Okay, so I went over that. So now we'll just get into my experience. I kind of debated if I was going to share parts of this or not. I think I'm obviously going to, but I just want to be clear that if anyone's curious about doing Vipassana at any point, please know that every experience is completely different. So things that I say or that I went through is only for me. It's not anything that anyone else is going to ever experience. And so don't compare or contrast or anything like that. But anyways, I'll tell you a little about my experience. So the first 3 days of Vipassana, you're literally just focusing on your nose. And you can't imagine how hard that is. You're like, oh, okay. The first day, all you have to do is just focus on breathing in and out. Just focus on your breath, and you cannot do it. Can't do it. It's crazy how many thoughts we have. You're like, okay, mind, focus on the breath. And then it goes off. No, come back. And then it goes off, and you're like, no, come back. And you spend a whole day trying to just focus your mind on this. So the first 3 days of focusing on your nose, the Vipassana technique isn't even taught until the 4th day. It's not even taught till the 4th day. So if you're going to do a course, you have to do a 10-day because that's the only way to experience real Vipassana. But so the first 3 days are just learning how to sharpen your mind and how to realize how much of a slave to your mind you are. You have no control of your mind. You're just trying to focus on your nose and you can't do it. So the first day you're focusing on just breathing. The second day you're focusing on the sensation that you feel on the inside, the sensation of the air going in and out. And then the third day you're focusing on sensations on this little triangle. All the sensations that you feel, heat, perspiration, all of it. So just for 3 days, focusing on your nose, that's it. And it works. So you sit down, and your minds, you realize how scattered your mind, you're having all these thoughts, and finally the thoughts start to slow down. And then as you're focusing on your nose, you're starting to sharpen your mind like a knife. And when you start to sharpen your mind like a knife, It allows all the things that we bury down and we suppress, subconsciously or consciously, to start coming up. But now our minds are sharp enough that we can pierce right through them. You live them, you experience them, but you pierce right through them and you let them go. So the first 3 days are actually really, really hard for a lot of people. There's a lot of tears, a lot of doubt, a lot of fear, a lot of everything. I would, focusing right here, literally this entire part of my face would turn into a movie screen. And I just relived so many memories. I relived all of my relationships that I've had. I relived, it's just dealing with all your shit the first 3 days. And then the fourth day, you're taught Vipassana. And it's essentially a huge body scan of these sensations that you felt here, learning how to feel the vibrations within your body and how to feel the different sensations both on the inside and the outside of your body, and to understand that so you're going to feel these sensations based on like your surrounding things, but also how you're sitting. When your knees are starting to hurt, your hips are starting to hurt. So it's observing these different sensations, but not letting yourself move and learning to observe them equanimously, not reacting to them with craving or hatred, but just observing them, learning how to become the observer. And so this day of the first Vipassana that he leads you through, it's like a 2-hour meditation, and I literally felt like completely high after it. Completely. I got up and we had break after, and I literally could barely walk. I was like all my energy was like zzz, like was amazing. I was like walking around, and then I like went and laid down on the ground, and the teacher comes up and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm good." And she was like, "Congratulations, you did a good job." And I was like, "Okay." But then of course going, because that night is like, don't get attached to the cravings or the good sensations. That's the most dangerous part. Even when it's good, you can't love it. Equanimity, observing impermanence with equanimity. So that was fun. And then days 5 through 10 are then but practicing this Vipassana technique at many different levels. And so when you start experiencing the sensations in your body, you start realizing that it's not this external thing that's causing me to be angry, this external object that's causing me to be angry. What's actually causing me anger is this sensation that's happening inside of my body. And from that sensation in my body, the sankhara is reacting, and I'm putting out anger, which is a crazy plot twist to life. And I'm not going to go into that as much right now because I really want to teach it in deeper forms through the different ways that I do and I have planned. But it's really crazy. And so when you start observing these sensations happening inside of your body, anger comes up. And you sit. I sat with my anger for 2 hours one day. Just sat with my anger and tried to observe the sensation rather than be anger. Okay, when I get angry, what's actually happening in my body? And can I learn to observe it so that it doesn't take over my body? I sat with my jealousy one day. I sat with emotions, and that's really, really, really hard sometimes. But after you get done, it's kind of crazy. And that in itself is what, pulls out these roots, these sankharas. So that was really powerful. And then, the last days got pretty beautiful. I'd say my ebb and flow of amazingness and really difficult went up and down from beginning to end. A lot of people say the beginning's hard, the end's bliss. For me, it went up and down the entire thing. But that's life. That's what happens constantly no matter what. So it was fine, and you get to watch your ebb and flows every day. But later on, the visions started coming of the visions and the answers. So I went in with a lot of questions, and when you start to clear away your monkey mind of constant thoughts, and you start to dig up all that old shit and do spring cleaning of your body, you're so much more clear in your mind. And when you're not being disturbed by anyone or technology or anything, your mind's able to work at such a higher level. And every question that I had not only God answered, but God answered to me through these crazy visions that showed me exactly what I was going to do, how I was going to do it. And I'd have a question, and I'd literally watch for the next hour exactly the answer. So that was really cool. So I got a lot of introspective perspective, something like that. Introspective. I can't think of the word right now. I think I'm saying it right. Of my future and what's to come and what I want for myself, who I want to be as a person, things like that. So that was pretty special. So basically the before and after effects. If you're still watching, what am I at now? Like 40 minutes. If you're still watching, you're like, okay, that's what I wanted to know from the beginning. So before, like my current emotions before, I was feeling unmotivated, scattered, brained, kind of just like all around, knowing all these different things I wanted to do, but not sure how to do it, and just kind of feeling not lost, but not found. And long term, before, it's been 3 years now, I've been traveling, which has been amazing, but I've just been constantly looking for answers to so many things. And after effects, long term, I know that this is my answer. It's really exciting because this is something that I can now have a technique to practice daily for the rest of my life. And above all, Goenka teaches that you are your own teacher. Everything you need to know is inside of you. And if you can clear your mind out enough, you can come to realize the answers to any question you have. And you are so wise beyond your beliefs that if you give yourself the time to experience your intuition and to work around it and with it, you are your own teacher. And so that's been hugely powerful for me. And of course, I'm still going to go find all these other teachers, and I love learning on so many levels. And I'm always going to keep doing that, but I think this has been a huge thing to know that I got what I need, that I can add to it from other perspectives and other opinions, but when I really need something, I already know. I already know what it is, so long as I keep up my practice to stay clear enough to experience it and see it. So that was really cool. In short term, like I said, it was spring cleaning. I feel recharged, recentered. I got my answers to everything. I just feel completely like I feel like I just went in and dug up a bunch of shit, and now I'm just like, okay, let's go. I've been able to see a lot of the things that my emotions that I've dealt with, and just people that I've dealt with in my life that have been very hard. I've been able to view them with compassion and figure out how to go about change in actual practical ways, which has been huge. So it's been amazing. What was speaking like after 10 days of silence, that was pretty cool. It first felt like, when you go to a concert and you're up by the speakers, I always go up by the speakers like as loud as I can get. You go up by the speakers, but then afterwards your ears are like vibrating, and then when you speak you can hear yourself, but it kind of feels like a foreign sound. That's how it felt for me. And then also not speaking, there was a lot of coughing the first couple hours. Like every couple words my throat would be like, oh, here we go again, like start coughing, which is kind of funny. And then smiling, because you really don't smile for 10 days. Oh my God. And we were all just like, you're just like high off your ass when it all ends. You're just so happy, and you can start talking to everyone again, and everyone's like finally getting to know each other, that these people that they've been sitting next to for 10 days, and there's just so many smiles and laughs. And my smile, like it hurt so bad to smile after like 15 minutes, which was really funny. And speaking of, sorry, my throat's getting like really scratchy right now. But I'm almost done, promise, if you're still watching. I don't know, here we go. So the last thing that I wanted to do, oh, no, I actually think that was it. So, what am I at? 45 minutes. Okay, I thought this was going to be like a 10-minute video. If you're still watching, thanks for watching. It's like we've been hanging out. You should let me know if you watched this so we can like talk about it or whatever. So yeah, I talked about what Vipassana is, the Dhamma Bodhi Center, and my experience. Oh, two more things that I really wanted to share. One of them's kind of funny, one of them's crazy, that happened on my experience there was the first thing, just a little thing, kind of funny, but the first day, the first couple days, a lot of people tend to start falling asleep because we're not used to sitting with our eyes closed, so falling asleep is really natural, and you're not supposed to touch each other because the energies of other people you just can't touch. And the girl next to me just completely fell asleep and like bulldoze knocked me over the first day. And I was like meditating, and so I was like, like so scared, but she didn't she couldn't say sorry or like look at me, so she was just like like back down. Yeah, so I think she was the only person to fall over. But yeah, and the other crazy thing that happened was every night at the sunset break, I would go to this big pagoda, which is where there's individual kind of like jail cells that you can go in to sit and meditate in, but it's all under construction right now, so we didn't go in it. We just stayed in our meditation hall. But I would go there every day at sunset because like there was like a couple trees, but really there was like nothing beautiful to look at, and the top of this pagoda is like gold and gorgeous, and so I'd go there every night at sunset just to like admire something beautiful. And there was this cat around day like 4 or 5 that was at the pagoda, and she was just like pissed off and meowing, and so she like kept wanting to go in the pagoda, but it's all closed off, and so I was like, I can't let you in there. Like she'd hiss, and she was just pissed off. The next day she was still there doing it, and I started realizing, so she like definitely needs something in there, and I was like, I wonder if she has like babies in there, but I was like, no, all the doors are shut, there's no way. And so she leaves, and I don't see her for a couple days, and I'm like, okay, she found what she needed. And a few days later, I'm sitting there meditating, and I start hearing baby meows, and I'm like, fuck, like, shit. There's baby kittens trapped inside the pagoda, but I can't speak, I can't talk to anyone. So I like go through this huge internal debate of like, what do I do? And ultimately I come to realize Gaya teaches so much that you don't have to look up to a god or Buddha or praise them or anything. All you have to do to honor them is just possess their qualities, and Buddha stands for compassion and love and peace. And so I was like, I'm going to be Buddha, I'm going to be compassionate. So I snuck into the pagoda. I like went under the fence and like opened the door, and I like went back into this room and opened the door, which is like super not okay. But of course, in the corner are these 3 kittens. They were like this big, less than a week old. The eyes are closed. And they're meowing because the mother's obviously been gone now for like 3 days. And I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? Ultimately, I go over and I like very quietly find one of the teachers, tell them, and go through this whole internal debate of, should I have told someone? Should I have let nature take its course? Should I have left the door open for the mom? And long story short, I made the right decision. The mom never came back. They got help, and they took care of them. They didn't kill them, and they're, as far as I know, alive still, but I'll never know if they success or not. But yeah, that was pretty special. But okay, I'm done talking now. My throat's like, Katie, stop. So if you have any more questions, which I don't know how you could, but if you have any more, I feel like I'm just hanging out with myself right now, but if you have any more questions, let me know. Also, like I said, I'm going to write a blog. It'll be on the bottom of the homepage of katie-blair.com, KATIBLAIR.com, with pictures and stuff. And thanks for watching. If you ever have the chance to do Vipassana, 100% from the bottom of my heart, I encourage you to go. Like I said, it's free of charge. There's centers all over the world in almost every country now that will take you in. It will change your life in such a deeply transformative way. I've waited so long to make this video because I've been just filled with tears the last 24 hours, just crying on and off, tears of just pure joy and gratitude for life, feelings, such deep feelings of real pure happiness that I've never experienced before. Everything that this 10 days gave me, everything that Glenka gives, everything that this stands for. It's a healing remedy that has changed thousands of lives, and it has the power to change the whole world. And so if you are feeling stuck, or you're feeling unmotivated, or you've been pushing shit down your whole life that you haven't dealt with and you don't want to hold on to anymore, or you need to make a change, whether you act with anger or another emotion, whether you have an addiction, whether you're dealing with anything, or you're just seeking more guidance in life, this is the answer to everything. And it's done in such a powerfully perfect way that I will definitely be going to these for the rest of my life. And I encourage anyone and everyone who has even a slight inkling to go try it, It is very difficult. It is very rewarding. The key is to not look at it as a chore that you have to be there, because you'll have those days where you're like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in prison. I feel like I'm going crazy. This is absolutely absurd. Why am I doing this to myself? I need to leave. But if you change that and you go into it and just keep telling yourself, this is an opportunity, such a rare opportunity to do something hugely great, that's what gets you through it. And if you come out on the other side, I promise you, there's not one of you that will regret it. So I'll stop talking. Thanks so much for watching.